Last week's reaction video was so cool. Got to react to my man Christian calling in from my hometown, asking Dave Ramsey about what he's supposed to do, and we came up with an answer that Dave Ramsey didn't have, so that was pretty neat. But I found a cool video I think you guys are going to enjoy, so let's get into it. Hey everyone, my name's AJ, this is The Wealthy Idiot Show. Before we go any further, make sure you smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, don't want to miss any of this good financial content, because like we said in our last video, one of the most important ways to improve yourself and your finances is through knowledge. Knowledge is gained through watching YouTube videos with AJ in it on the Wealthy Idiot channel. No, I'm just kidding. Any kind of knowledge works, but we do appreciate it anyways. So I found a video on a YouTube channel called Glamour, how this college professor spends $85K salary. And they interview people, they cut their heads off so you can't really see who they are, and these people just give their entire financial information on themselves to the whole world, which I think is pretty admirable, kind of give people an insight into what they're doing. And I found a really cool person who's got some really interesting financial stuff going on I think we have to watch together and take a look at. So let's go.
I'm a college professor in Houston, Texas. I make $85,000 a year, and I have about $550,000 total in savings. $500,000 in my 401k and $50,000 in a joint savings account with my husband. And we have a $1.5 million investment property that I own with my husband. The house itself is almost paid off. We have $50,000 taken out in loan for renovations, and we rent it out on Vrbo and Airbnb for tourists.
That's what I'm talking about.
Someone named Coco Bosco wrote that she's sick of me saying that's what I'm talking about. But sometimes that is what I'm talking about.
Airbnb and Vrbo for tourists, man. You get good money from that. I'm just saying. But that's crazy. So $550 in just savings and cash. I wouldn't hold on to that in cash. Cash is not a good place to put your money right now. I know that sounded a little bit funny, but with inflation the way it is, you got to stick it in something that's going to go up. And now's the time. Everything's on sale in the stock market. So maybe index funds. I mean, she didn't really say. She had a 401k, and which is awesome, which means she didn't put all that money in there. The matching helped her out quite a bit, and then the market kind of does the rest. I'm going to guess that she's probably been doing this for a while. So she's been adding money for a while to get to $500,000 in a 401k. That's awesome. I mean, that's more than what I got in mine. So, she's been doing it longer than I have. And then, yeah, $550 in cash. Got to work on that one. But, oh man, the house, 1.5. I mean, all right. So she could do a lot better if she sold the house and then did a 1031 exchange. So that means that you can move that money into other houses and not pay capital gains tax when you do that. So she'd have to sell that house and buy multiple houses, and she could really help herself out. But, some people, I understand, they want to be on the more conservative side. She's got it pretty much paid off except for that loan on the renovations, it sounds like. So, she's doing pretty good.
Taxes, my take home is $4,800. My husband and I have a joint account in which I contribute $4,000 a month to that, and we use that joint account for household expenses. $3,000 a month goes to our mortgage for our primary residence, and $1,800 for the renovation loan on the investment property. We have $500.
Ooh, well, that's pretty expensive. And they got $500,000 in cash. So they must be thinking in terms of like if they produce a loss on the property, you get that tax benefit. So maybe they're trying to, show this loan out as a loss on the property. She hasn't said what her income is on that, so I'm kind of interested to see. But the mortgage for $3,000 in Texas, she's got a pretty nice house, $3,000 mortgage.
$100 for car payment and $600 on average for utilities. That leaves around $800 on entertainment a month for us to spend. I have around $5,000 in credit card debt, and I don't have any student loan debt. My parents said they were obligated for undergrad, and so they paid that, and I was responsible for anything else. So grad school, I paid for that through working teacher's assistant and research assistant. I work at a state university, and there's no need for anyone to go into debt because they've paid $85,000 a year or so for college. We have amazing students who go anywhere and everywhere, but they get their education on a budget, a great education on budget, and they are able to do whatever they want to after. This is a state.
So That's important. I'm not sure why she has credit card debt. I mean, unless they're really strict about not touching that cash, seems a little bit odd. But yeah, she makes a good point. And this is a college professor saying it. I said this before. The data just does not support, the different expenses in college. It just doesn't. I know that when the status symbol type stuff really gets at kids. They I want to go to the best school and pay all kinds of money. I'm going to go Stanford and Yale and whatever. But the data just does not support that those produce more money over time. If you want to produce, like if you want someone to get an education that's worth something in the actual industry, that they could actually make a lot of money, be a productive member of society, you could do a 2-year college, you could do a coding boot camp. We covered how that ends up being about the same, in the long run when it comes to pay, but way cheaper in terms of school. But yeah, student loan debt is not super gravy. I know you can figure out how to not have student loan debt and really set yourself apart from your peers on that one.
Statement from my personal account. I don't like to look at my statements because I probably should change my behavior, but I don't plan to or want to. And so I usually just, I don't really pay too much attention. My most frequent purchases are definitely eating out, and that's for me and my family. But I love the food.
What does she have here? Ooh, Chick-fil-A, Raising Cane's, got some coffee in there, McDonald's. Ooh, okay. She's a little bit of a food junkie, a little fast food junkie. I mean, can't blame you. Sounds like she likes chicken. I'm all about those nuggets, I'm telling you.
Food in Houston, it's one of the most diverse cities, and the food reflects that there. And so I often eat out. If I'm at work, I'm going to eat out for lunch. And I oftentimes eat out for dinner too. And I got into that because I was rolling with 4 kids doing all of that. And they were all in different schools. And so we got into a lot of eating out, which now it's part of the program. Chipotle is a staple in my book. It's fast and healthy, so I'm a big Chipotle fan.
Man, when I go to Chipotle, I don't know if I could classify it as healthy. I load that sucker up full of the nastiest stuff, and it's amazing. But yeah, food is like probably the biggest thing that people struggle with when it comes to cutting down what you're spending so that you can increase your investments. And I get it. I'm a big food junkie myself. It is tough. And like she said, when you're driving all over the planet and then you've got to figure out what to do for food, it's so much more difficult to think ahead and be like, I'm going to make sandwiches for everyone and pack some chips or something. Man, it's so much work.
Like Raising Cane's. I don't know if everyone has that. It's just basically chicken tenders for my girls. So, my hack for coffee is, and this is, just little ways to save money. I refuse to pay the $6 for a cup of coffee, so I always just get drip instead of getting the, lattes and that kind of thing. And that saves me money, so it's like $2.50 versus.
Well, but she got $6.25, or maybe she bought more than one coffee. All right, I'll give her that one. She might have bought more than one coffee. I do that too. I actually get just whatever the black coffee is that they have. It's a lot cheaper. And then I always hear Kevin O'Leary behind me being like, the markup on that is so big. I'm like, I know, Kevin, leave me alone. She obviously heard that too at some point.
Is $5 and up, and it also saves me time because you don't have to wait for those drinks. They just pour it up and give it to you immediately. So that is one of my little hacks to not spend money on the coffee that I love. I actually bought a machine, so if I want something, usually more fancy like a latte or a cappuccino, I'll make it myself now versus pay for the store-bought coffee. But if I don't deprive myself if I'm dying for that, but for the most part, I'll get it at home. Okay, so I have Toy Joy in Austin, and that is not what it sounds like. It's really literally a kid's toy store. I bought my daughters some toys and candy there. Netflix, we are big Netflix fans, and so
What does it sound like, Professor? I wasn't thinking that. Okay.
$164 goes to Netflix a month. The $4,000 transfer is from my account to our joint account. The most.
She had 1 million subscriptions, $300 worth a month in subscriptions. There's no way, if she's driving all over the planet, taking care of all this stuff, working a job, is she using all that? She could probably cut some of that down a little bit and then maybe, get rid of that credit card debt that she's holding on to.
Unusual for the month is my Adore Me bill. This is clothing items basically, and I bought one item They told me that triggered a subscription, and then kind of started liking what they had to offer. And so I started using the credit that I received from that subscription to buy items. I just bought some bathing suits from there. So that's kind of an unexpected expense that now is an expense.
She got trapped into that subscription. That's probably one of the subscriptions on there. A lot of companies do this whole thing where it's like they set up a subscription model and then you pay and then they make it crazy hard for you to back out. Like, watch out for that stuff. I kind of, even if that ends up being a better deal than just buying a thing, I tend to not go for it. There's just something in my soul that just doesn't like the fact that, like, I'm giving a company control over just kind of taking my money every month. Just don't like it.
Extracurricular, when you have kids, it seems like if you want them to have these enrichment experiences, a lot of money goes to that type of thing. And so the payment for the high school is just us going to a show that she was a part of. I spent $32.43 at Home Goods, and that was for some towels. There are major expenses that go into
what a towels cost. Oh my gosh, this is expensive towels.
Airbnbs that you kind of don't think about, but there's always that kind of turnover. You know, people are kind of harder on your things than you are. And Home Goods is where I go for that, always.
That's true. Although it does make me a little bit nervous that she has got this on her personal account. It's going to make it way harder to account for the losses that go into the Airbnb. So Airbnb is a business. That's the business. You can file your taxes as if you're running a business on that, and then you get to count the losses against the gains on that property. So if you paid interest on the loans, like she has the renovation loan, you bought a bunch of stuff to keep your Airbnb running, you get to depreciate the home because people are using your home and damaging your home. You get to depreciate it for it's like 23 and a half years or something. And you could depreciate the building value over that entire time. So the land value different than the building value. That's a different episode. We'll get into that. But she gets to depreciate all that against her taxes. And then if she's making income and it's not really going over, and you get to roll those losses over year to year. So if you have this many losses and you make all this income, right, and the depreciation keeps edging that up, and then you're making income. There's a point in time where that stuff levels off. I calculated it at about between 15 to 20 years-ish. That's probably when you want to sell and do a 1031 exchange. But it's making me nervous that she's got this stuff on her regular bill. I have a totally different account for this, and I keep track of all that stuff separately because I want to be able to write off as much as I possibly can for all my Airbnb stuff. So, yeah. Professor, you got to work on that.
Investment properties are wonderful, but they're also work and they're money. And there's also all sorts of rules and restrictions and regulations that you wouldn't think of, like you have to have a front door and a back door that both have, this type of lock and both have a peephole and those types of things. So things that you just really don't think of. Things break down when people are in the house. So you have to get it fixed immediately because they're living in the house. So my most expensive bill for the month was to Sundance Grill. It was $825. We threw my mom a birthday party, and then my sister Zelled me back her share of that $800. We missed a big birthday during COVID, and so we actually celebrated 2 years after her birthday, but we wanted to have a party for her. So we did this one up big because we missed it. For our daughter's music academy, we pay $278 a month for their music. One daughter's in piano, one daughter's in guitar. We've been at others, and we really like this one. It might be a
yeah, I feel you. I got the same struggle there. Kids' activities cost so much money. I don't know what to do about that.
little bit more expensive, but we really like the instruction there.
Woo. All right, that's the end. Well, thanks, Professor, for sharing with us. That's some good stuff. And you're doing a good job. I mean, you got a couple of things you got to work on, I think. Less cash, more investing. Got to get on that. Let's get rid of the credit card debt stuff. If, I would hope, $5,000 is not very much compared to all the amount you've saved and invested, including that house. At the end of the day, refinancing that house that you have and then using that money to get rid of your debts, the other debts that you have, because that house is going to have a way lower interest rate. Get rid of the other debts you have, and then take the leftover money and buy another house. Do another Airbnb, right? I know that it takes effort to do those things. You could get a property manager. So if you can get so much more money out of multiple properties, it's worth paying a property manager. For one property, you can do it yourself, but spread it out. Get a property manager. Don't worry and think about that stuff. And then account for this stuff separately so you can write it off on your taxes, because, man, you could save a lot of money on that. And I don't know what you're a professor in. I don't know if she said at the beginning or not, but go talk to your finance buddies. I know you got finance buddies over there at college that could help you out, and then maybe, save you some money on taxes, because you're so close. You're so close. Or maybe just follow Wealthy Idiots and like and subscribe, because we're going to help you figure out how to get these Airbnbs to maximize that money, pay the least amount of taxes, and then maybe 1031 exchange into a few more. It should be a lot of fun. But I hope you enjoyed watching this episode. There's some interesting stuff in there for sure. If there's anything I missed or anything that we got to let our professor buddy here know, please comment down below. And hopefully I see you guys again soon. Thanks for stopping by.